I woke up in some cheesy action novel. One second, I was in my cramped apartment, scarfing down instant ramen and grumbling about this brainless web novel called Dragon King CEO Wife, the Ice Queen's undercover bodyguard. The next, I was standing in a glittering ballroom, a searing hot iron jammed in my skull as a torrent of unfamiliar memories flooded my mind. My head throbbed. I gripped the edge of a long table draped in white, blinking hard. The swaying red liquid in the crystal goblet before me reflected a strange face. Ridiculously handsome, with sharp brows and eyes like twin stars, flawless skin. But there was also a hint of pure idiocy and unshakable arrogance in his gaze. I knew this face. It belonged to the cannon fodder villain from the very novel I'd just been trashing, a character with my exact name, Ethan Stone, a textbook rich jerk, destined to be wiped out within the first 3 chapters, existing solely to serve as experience points, a punching bag, and a convenient ex-fiancé for the male lead. According to the original plot, this very evening, at a grand gala celebrating the upcoming Sterling Stone alliance, I, the original Ethan Stone, would get rejected by the female lead, the Ice Queen CEO, Ava Sterling. Humiliated, I try to lay hands on her in front of everyone. That's when the male lead, Jax Thorne, the Dragon King, lurking as a security guard, would leap in. He'd perform a heroic rescue, drop-kick me across the room, and deliver his iconic line. "You've got 3 seconds to vanish, pal, or you'll regret it." Naturally, the idiot villain that was the original me wouldn't back down. I call for my bodyguards. The result? Jax would flatten every single one of them, break one of my legs, and have me ignominiously tossed out of the ballroom, becoming the laughingstock of Olympus City. And that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Afterward, the original Ethan would use the family's power for revenge, only for every attempt to be effortlessly thwarted by Jax Thorne, resulting in even harsher retaliation. The Stone family's businesses would be systematically devoured until our entire empire crumbled. And I, the original me, would eventually be drowned in the river one rainy night, becoming fish food. The thought of that ending sent a shiver of cold dread down my spine, dampening the expensive custom suit I wore. No way. Absolutely not. I was not going to die. I scanned the ballroom. Guests clinked glasses, dressed in their finest, and picture of upscale serenity. But to me, this wasn't some high society banquet. It was my death warrant. My gaze cut through the crowd, locking onto the very center of the hall. A woman in a shimmering silver fishtail gown stood there, nursing a flute of champagne. Tall, with an aura of cool elegance, her stunning face was utterly devoid of emotion, as if the world around her held no interest. She was the female lead, the business queen of Olympus City, and my fiancée, Ava Sterling. Right now, she was surrounded by several prominent business moguls, yet her formidable presence wasn't diminished in the slightest. She looked more like a queen reviewing her subjects. It was her, the root of all my misery. According to the plot, in about 5 minutes, the original Ethan would approach her with a drink and begin his idiotic performance. I took a deep breath, my heart hammering against my ribs. No more waiting. To survive, I had to break the script. And the first step to breaking the script was to get away from Ava Sterling. And away for Jax Thorne. The best way? Immediately, right now, break off the engagement with Ava. As long as we weren't tied together, she wouldn't be my obsession, I wouldn't bother her, and I definitely wouldn't cross paths with that destined Dragon King. I'd live my comfortable, rich kid life. He could play his secret operative role. We'd stay out of each other's way. Perfect. With my decision made, I straightened my perfectly unwrinkled tie, grabbed a glass of red wine from a nearby tray, and started toward Ava. People around me watched with expressions of amusement. They all knew how obsessed this spoiled jerk, Ethan Stone, was with Ava and how much she detested him. "Ms. Sterling, young mister, Stone is coming over," someone murmured in Ava's ear. Ava's brows subtly furrowed. A flicker of cold annoyance crossed her otherwise placid eyes. She didn't even turn around. I could tell she was bracing herself for my usual clinging nonsense. Too bad for her. She had me all wrong. I stopped behind her and cleared my throat. "Ava." My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for everyone nearby to hear. Ava finally turned, her gaze icy, a warning in her eyes. "Ethan." Watch your tone. You should know what kind of event this is. She thought I was about to spout some sappy, stupid declarations of love, like always. Everyone else pricked up their ears, ready for the show. I met her eyes. They were beautiful, like obsidian shards embedded with ice. I steadied myself, summoning every ounce of courage, and delivered the line I'd rehearsed countless times in my head. We're calling off the engagement. The words hung in the air, and the entire ballroom seemed to freeze. Every expression was instantly fixed in place. The business moguls surrounding Ava stood with their mouths agape, wide enough to swallow an egg. Ava herself was utterly stunned. For the first time, an expression other than her usual glacial calm, sheer bewilderment, appeared on her face. She clearly hadn't anticipated those words. She couldn't believe that the man who had chased her for 3 years, treating her like his entire world, would actually initiate a breakup. Her mind raced, analyzing every possible reason behind this abnormal behavior. Was this some new, convoluted trick to win her over? Or was there a larger scheme at play? She had no idea I was just trying to save my own skin. Seeing her shocked face, I felt a surge of satisfaction. Yes, exactly. Be shocked, then agree, and we can go our separate ways. I try to make my expression look more resolute, like a reformed playboy. Ava, I've had a lot of time to think. I piled it on. I was immature before, and I caused you a lot of trouble. We're not meant for each other. Forcing it won't work. Let's just end this engagement here. With that, I downed the red wine in my glass, set the empty flute on a nearby tray, and turned to walk away. The whole motion was fluid, without a hint of hesitation or regret. Leaving behind a room full of gawking guests and the Ice Queen CEO, who stood frozen, a complex expression in her eyes. Ivalkid fast, practically fleeing. I had to get out of this hot zone before Jax Thorne caught wind of the situation and came to make his grand entrance. But I'd barely taken a few steps when a cool voice echoed behind me. Stop. It was Ava. My heart sank. My steps faltered, but I didn't turn around. Seriously, what more do you want, lady? I just broke off the engagement, and you're still not happy? Do you actually need your Dragon King to show up and break my leg to be satisfied? Ethan, Ava's voice carried a hint of inquiry and a confusion she herself hadn't quite registered. You're different today. You bet I am. I cursed internally. The old me is gone, but I couldn't say that. Without turning, I replied in a deliberately casual tone. People change, Ms. Sterling. From now on, let's wish each other well and move on. Then I sped up, practically sprinting out of the ballroom. I didn't dare look back at Ava's expression, but I could imagine her mind was probably a whirlpool of questions. Good. Let her wonder. As long as I could successfully break the engagement and escape my destiny as a cannon fodder villain, being thought of as a lunatic was a small price to pay. I burst through the hotel doors. The evening breeze hit my face, clearing my head. Okay, first step complete. Next, I needed to deal with the mountain of problems the original Ethan had left behind, then find a quiet, scenic place to settle down and live out my days as a wealthy, lazy trust fund baby. I was happily daydreaming about my future retirement when a black Rolls-Royce Phantom glided to a silent stop in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing the familiar face of Mr. Henderson, the family chauffeur. Young master, please get in. Your father wants to see you. My heart sank. Of course, it had to come eventually. After the scene I'd just made, disgracing both the Stone and Sterling families, my cheapskate father, Robert Stone, CEO of Stone Enterprises, would surely tear me apart. Sitting in the back seat of the Rolls-Royce on the way back to Stone Manor, I was a nervous wreck. My father, Robert Stone, was a formidable character. He'd built the Stone Empire from scratch with an iron fist, transforming it from a small workshop into one of Olympus City's most prominent families. While he doted on the original Ethan, his only son, he was utterly ruthless when it came to family interests. This alliance was crucial for the Stone family. The Sterling family's influence far surpassed ours. Aligning with them would elevate our businesses to another level. And I, by publicly breaking the engagement, had essentially slapped Robert Stone and the entire Sterling family in the face. The car smoothly pulled into the Stone estate, stopping in front of a brightly lit mansion. I took a deep breath and pushed open the door. In the living room, Robert Stone sat on the sofa, polishing a string of shiny prayer beads. His face was grim, dark enough to curdle milk. Beside him stood Mr. Henderson, the family butler. My father didn't even lift an eyelid as I walked in, only letting out a cold grunt. That single grunt hit me like a sledgehammer. Dad, I forced out my voice low. So you still remember I'm your father? Robert Stone finally looked up, his eyes like daggers. Ethan, you've grown some nerve, haven't you? Breaking off an engagement at the Sterling Gala? Who gave you the right? He slammed his hand on the coffee table, making the teacups jump. Do you have any idea how much effort I poured into making this match happen? Do you have any idea what the Sterling family means to us? With one stupid word, you've ruined everything. I kept my head down, silent. I knew any explanation now would be pointless. In my father's eyes, I was just a spoiled idiot, sacrificing family interests for some ridiculous notion of self-respect. Speak, Robert Stone roared. I clenched my fists, then looked up at him. At this point, I might as well go all in. Dad, I don't like Ava. I don't want to marry a woman who doesn't love me. I trotted out the most cliché excuse. Don't like her. Robert Stone chuckled, a humorless sound. You chased her for 3 years, making a spectacle of yourself all over town. And now you're telling me you don't like her? Do you take me for a fool? That was then. This is now. I retorted, sticking out my chin. Anyway, I'm breaking off this engagement, and that's final. You. Robert Stone stood up in a rage, pointing a trembling finger at me. You ungrateful brat. I'm telling you, this marriage is not up for discussion. Tomorrow, you'll go to the Sterling estate yourself, apologize to Ms. Sterling, and beg her for forgiveness. I won't. I blurted out. Are you kidding me? Going to the Sterling estate now would be like walking into a trap. What if Ava changed her mind and actually wanted to marry me again? Wouldn't everything I'd done be for nothing? You've truly lost it. Robert Stone was completely furious. He grabbed an ashtray from the table, clearly intending to hurl it at me. Sir, no. Mr. Henderson, quick as a flash, wrapped his arms around him. Let go of me. I'll beat this good-for-nothing to death today. Robert Stone struggled. I stood my ground, unmoving. I knew he wouldn't actually hit me. Even a tiger wouldn't eat its cub, and I was his only son. Sure enough, after a brief struggle, Robert Stone slammed the ashtray onto the floor with a resounding crash. He panted, pointing at me. Fine, fine. You've grown wings, and I can't control you, can I? From today onward, I'm cutting off all your credit cards, freezing all accounts in your name. You won't get a single penny. We'll see how you survive without the Stone family name. Here it came. Economic sanctions. This was the standard move in all those novels, used by families against rebellious heirs. The original Ethan would have collapsed to his knees, begging for mercy. But I wasn't the original Ethan. Money, while important, was nothing compared to my life. Besides, would I really be penniless? As a transmigrator who had read the novel cover to cover, I knew all the future commercial trends and opportunities for massive wealth in Olympus City. Grabbing just one would be enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life. Thinking this, I calmed down. Whatever you say, I replied, my voice flat. These 3 words completely reignited Robert Stone's fury. He probably hadn't expected his ultimate trump card to have absolutely no effect on me. You, get out. He pointed at the front door, his finger trembling. Get out now. The Stone family has no son like you. Fine, I'll go. I turned and walked away without hesitation. Behind me, I heard Robert Stone's enraged roar and Mr. Henderson's frantic pleas. I didn't look back. Stepping out of the mansion, the evening breeze felt a little cool on my face. I patted my pockets. Phone, wallet, car keys. I had them all. Good. At least I wasn't leaving completely empty-handed. I opened the car door and got in. Now, I've been kicked out of the house, practically broke, aside from a few thousand in cash in my wallet, a disowned heir stranded on the streets. This plot, why did it feel so familiar? Wasn't this the standard starting point for a struggling protagonist in those urban power fantasy novels? I gave a wry smile. Too bad I wasn't the protagonist. I didn't have a Dragon King system backing me up, nor any secret operative training. My only golden finger was my brain, a brain crammed with the entire novel's plot. I started the car and drove away from Stone Manor. Where to next? I needed a place to stay. The original Ethan owned several properties, but they'd likely be frozen by my father soon. Looks like a hotel it was, for now. As I drove, I mentally mapped out my next steps. First, I needed money. Without it, I couldn't do anything. I quickly replayed the original plot in my mind. Got it. I remembered clearly. In Chapter 5 of the novel, Jack Thorne's first major turning point was when he used an insider tip to buy a plot of land that was about to be developed, making him rich overnight. That land, located in the west side flats of Olympus City, was currently a desolate, abandoned industrial zone. But in just 1 week, the city government would suddenly announce plans to build a brand new high-tech industrial park there. The land value would skyrocket 100-fold. In the novel, Jax seized this opportunity to earn his first fortune, establish his own company, and begin his long journey of opposing the Stone family. And now, there were exactly 7 days until the city government's announcement. I had to seize this opportunity. If I secured that land, I wouldn't just be set for life. I could potentially even buy out Stone Enterprises. Of course, I didn't have such grand ambitions. I just wanted to make some cash, then find a place where nobody knew me and live a quiet, comfortable life. The problem was, where would the money to buy the land come from? That plot, while cheap now, wasn't something a few $1,000s could cover. My father had cut me off. Where was I going to get such a large startup fund? I thought, my hand running through my hair in frustration. Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind. The original Ethan. He had a secret stash. It was money he'd saved over the years from his allowance and other sources, secretly deposited into an offshore account that my father didn't know about and couldn't freeze. I immediately pulled over, grabbed my phone, and rummaged through the original Ethan's memories. Found it, an anonymous account with a Swiss bank password, the original Ethan's first girlfriend's birthday. My hands trembled as I logged into online banking. When I saw the long string of zeros after the account balance, my breathing hitched. Tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. A full 80 million. My cheapskate predecessor was quite the little saver. With this much money, let alone buying that plot in the West Side Flats, I could buy out the entire abandoned industrial zone and still have plenty left over. I was so excited I almost yelled out loud. When one door closes, another opens. I immediately drove to one of the apartments I remember the original Ethan owning, a place a bit off the beaten path that my father probably wouldn't find immediately. I needed a quiet place to plan my next moves. And as I drove to my new hideout, across Olympus City in the Sterling estate, Ava Sterling also spent a sleepless night. She stood by the massive floor-to-ceiling window, a glass of red wine in hand, the scene from the banquet replaying in her mind. Ethan Stone's words were calling off the engagement, well, like a stone thrown into the placid lake of her heart, sending ripples across its surface. She didn't believe Ethan genuinely wanted to break it off. How could the man who'd clung to her like glue for 3 years suddenly change? There had to be a plot behind this. A reverse psychology trick? Ava shook her head. Too crude. Ethan, though foolish, wasn't stupid enough to sabotage himself like that just to get her attention. Then, what's his motive? She couldn't figure it out. Just then, her personal assistant knocked and entered. Ms. Sterling, I have the information. Speak. After the banquet, Ethan Stone returned to the Stone residence, had a heated argument with Robert Stone, and was subsequently kicked out. Robert Stone has frozen all assets under his name. Kicked out. A flicker of surprise crossed Ava's eyes. To break off the engagement, he'd defy his family and even be disowned. That wasn't like the pleasure-seeking Ethan Stone she knew. Where is he now? We found that he went to a condo in the Azure Tower. He bought it with his own money. Robert Stone likely doesn't know about it yet. His own money. Ava was even more taken aback. Yes, we also checked and found that Ethan Stone has a secret offshore account with a substantial sum. The assistant handed her a tablet. Ava stared at the numbers, silent. She had always thought Ethan was just a parasite, leeching off his family. She never imagined he had such an unknown side. Continue. One more thing, Ms. Sterling. Just now, Ethan Stone used a large sum of money from that account to establish a shell investment company, and it fully purchased the abandoned industrial land in the West Side Flats. What? This time, Ava was truly shocked. That land in the West Side Flats was notoriously worthless, a money pit. Was Ethan crazy to spend so much buying it? Wait a minute. Countless thoughts flashed through Ava's mind. Ethan's abnormal behavior today, being disowned, using secret funds, buying a seemingly worthless plot of land. These seemingly unrelated events, strung together, pointed to an astonishing possibility. A bold theory began to form in Ava's mind. Ethan, he wasn't acting recklessly. He was playing a grand game. He deliberately broke off the engagement at the banquet, infuriating Robert Stone, using the opportunity to escape the Stone family's control and gain complete freedom. Then he used his long-hidden funds to buy that land that everyone else overlooked. He must be gambling on that land, having immense potential for appreciation. But how could he be so certain? Did he have insider information? Ava's heart, for the first time because of a man, began to beat faster. She realized she had never truly known Ethan Stone. The spoiled brat in her impression, foolish, superficial, always trailing after her, had, overnight, transformed into a profound, calculating strategist. Interesting. A cold curve formed on Ava's lips. Ethan Stone, I'm eager to see what you're truly up to. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. Keep a close eye on Ethan Stone's every move. Also, send me all the relevant documents for that West Side Flats land. Hanging up, Ava gazed out at the night, her eyes gleaming with an intensity she'd never shown before. For the first time, she felt a strong, compelling interest in Ethan Stone. Meanwhile, back in his apartment, scarfing down takeout ramen, I had no idea I was being watched. Nor did I know that my desperate attempts to save my own skin had, in the female lead's imagination, transformed into an earth-shattering commercial gamble. I sneezed. Who was talking about me? Forget it, I wasn't going to worry about it. In 7 days, once the land value soared, I'd sell it, pocket a few billion, and travel the world. Ava Sterling, Jax Thorne, they could both go to hell. Over the next few days, I lived the dream life of a slacker. Waking up naturally, ordering takeout, playing video games, watching movies. I completely put the Stone family and Ava Sterling out of my mind. I even made time to hit the mall and get myself a new wardrobe. Gone were the flashy, I'm rich styles of the original Ethan. I opted for low-key, comfortable casual wear. I felt like an old executive on the verge of retirement, already settled into my golden years. This kind of peaceful, laid-back life was simply too awesome. During this time, Mr. Henderson called me a few times, urging me to go back and apologize to my father. Of course, I firmly refused. Are you kidding? Going back now would be like giving away the freedom I just earned. As for Robert Stone, he was probably still fuming. But I didn't care. Once I sold that West Side Flats land and became a multi-billionaire, would his happiness even matter? By then, maybe he'd be the one begging me to return to the family. The thought made me crack a smile. That afternoon, I was lounging on the sofa, sipping a soda, and watching a movie on my tablet when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered casually. Hello, Ethan. A cool female voice came from the other end. I stiffened, almost spilling soda on myself. That voice, I'd recognize it anywhere. It was Ava Sterling. Why was she calling me? How did she even get my number? An alarm bell blared in my head. Ms. Sterling? To what do I owe the pleasure? I asked, feigning calmness, a touch of distance in my tone. Do you have time? Let's meet. Ava's tone brooked no argument, like she was issuing a command. Apologies, Ms. Sterling. I'm quite busy these days. I flatly refused. Meet my foot. I was trying to avoid you. Is that so? Ava's voice gave no hint of emotion. Are you busy? Researching the development plan for the West Side Flats land. My heart sank. She knew. She actually knew I'd bought that land. This woman's intelligence network was terrifying. I forced a dry chuckle. Ms. Sterling, your information is truly impressive. But that's my personal business. No need for you to trouble yourself. Ethan, let's be straightforward. Ava's tone suddenly became serious. What exactly are you trying to do? Spending a massive fortune on that wasteland, establishing a shell company. Are you gambling, or do you already know something? My scalp tingled. This woman was too smart. She'd already guessed I was betting on the land appreciating. No, I couldn't let her guess any further. I had to dispel her suspicions, make her think I was just a rich fool with too much money to burn. Ms. Sterling, I think you've misunderstood. I adopted a casual, lazy tone. I bought that land for no special reason. I just thought it was cheap. Cheap. Yeah, 80 million for such a huge plot. What a steal, right? I'm planning to build the world's biggest pig farm there. I've even got a name for it. Royal Pig Club. The pigs raised there will be exclusively for high society. Sell a single pig for $1 million. Isn't that more profitable than whatever high-tech stuff you're into? I said it all so earnestly, I almost convinced myself. A long silence followed on the other end of the line. I could imagine Ava's expression right now, like she'd seen a ghost. She must be thinking, this Ethan Stone is truly a hopeless idiot. Perfect. Keep despising me. The further away, the better. A pig farm. After a while, Ava slowly spoke, her voice holding a strange note. Yep. I continued to ramble. Ms. Sterling, do you want to invest? We can consider your expertise as equity. Then we'll join forces, create the world's #1 luxury pork brand. Make those European Iberian black pigs look like they're not even fit to tie our pig's shoelaces. Another silence. Just when I thought she'd hang up and block my number, Ava said something that almost made me fall off the sofa. All right, I'll invest. Huh, I thought I'd misheard. I said, I'll invest in your pig farm. Ava's voice was calm, but beneath that calm, there seemed to be an emotion I couldn't decipher. You're not kidding, are you? I stammered. I never joke, Ava stated. In an hour, at the coffee shop downstairs from your apartment. I'll be waiting. Bring your business plan. With that, she hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, dumbfounded. What? What was happening? She was actually going to invest in my pig farm. Was she crazy? Or was she not buying my nonsense at all and just using this as an opportunity to probe me? It had to be that. This woman was terrifying. I paced around the living room, agitated. Go or not go. If I went, she'd definitely try to extract information, possibly exposing my transmigrated status. If I didn't go, it would make me look guilty. After much deliberation, I decided to meet her. It was just acting, right? Who was afraid of who? I wanted to see what kind of game this Ice Queen CEO was playing. An hour later, I showed up at the coffee shop in a t-shirt, jeans, and a pair of flip-flops. Ava was already there. She maintained her usual untouchable aura, dressed in a sharp white business suit, sitting by the window with a cup of unsweetened black coffee in front of her. I swaggered over and sat opposite her. Ms. Sterling, long time no see. I greeted her with a cheeky grin. Ava lifted her eyelids, giving me a fleeting glance. Her eyes lingered for half a second on my $10 plastic flip-flops. Where's your business plan? She asked, getting straight to the point. Business plan? I pulled a crumpled napkin from my pocket and slapped it on the table. Here it is. Ava's brows furrowed again. She picked up the napkin. On it, a few squiggly pig heads were drawn with a ballpoint pen, and next to them, scrawled in large letters, Royal Pig Club, Kings of Pigs, Pigs of Kings. Ava's lips seemed to twitch. My heart burst with silent laughter. How about that? Sloppy enough? Unreliable enough? Now you must believe I'm an idiot, right? However, Ava's reaction once again defied my expectations. She put down the napkin and looked at me, her eyes not scornful, but instead holding a hint of appreciation. Back to basics, brilliant in its simplicity, she slowly stated, expressing the core concept in the most straightforward form. Ethan, you're more interesting than I thought. Me? Seriously, lady, what is wrong with you? You can interpret that into something profound. Are you a genius at literary analysis? So, how do you want to collaborate? Ava leaned slightly forward, her beautiful eyes fixed on me. Her gaze made me a little uneasy. Ms. Sterling, are you really going to invest? I cautiously asked. Of course, Ava nodded. Tell me, how much money do you need? What resources do you need me to provide? I was completely dumbfounded. This woman was serious. What on earth was she trying to do? Could it be she had also transmigrated? No, that wasn't right. If she had, she'd know the West Side Flats land would appreciate. She'd just buy it herself. Why would she come looking for me to collaborate? I couldn't figure it out, not at all. Well, if you want to play, I'll play along. My eyes darted around, and an idea sparked. Money, for now. I'm not short on, I said, feigning a profound air. However, I am short on one thing. What? I need a CEO for my pig farm, I said, pointing at her. Ms. Sterling, I see you have excellent capabilities. Are you interested in becoming the general manager of my pig farm? I was deliberately insulting her, asking a CEO of $1 billion empire to manage a hypothetical pig farm. Any normal person would have slammed the table and walked out. I waited for her to explode. However, Ava simply gazed at me, silently, for a full 10 seconds. Then she smiled. Though it was just the faintest curve of her lips, she genuinely smiled. It was the first time I'd ever seen her smile. An ice mountain melting, 100 flowers blooming. And I had to admit, it was damn beautiful. "All right," a single word uttered from her lips. I froze again. "What did you say?" I said, "All right," Ava repeated. "I'll take the CEO position." I felt my worldview, at that moment, completely shatter. I returned to my apartment in a daze, slumping onto the sofa, my mind a chaotic mess. Ava Sterling, the high and mighty Ice Queen CEO, had actually agreed to be the CEO of my Royal Pig Club. This was even more absurd than anything in the novel. What on earth was she trying to do? Did she really believe I was going to raise pigs? No, impossible. Someone as shrewd as her couldn't be fooled by such a clumsy lie. She must be playing along with my scheme. She was pretending to agree, just to stay close to me and see what I was really up to. This woman was too cunning. I ran my hands through my hair in frustration. I thought breaking off the engagement would get rid of her, but now she was even more entangled with me. What kind of situation was this? No, I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. I had to find a way to make her give up. First thing the next morning, I received a call from Ava. "Good morning, Mr. Stone." Her voice was as cool as ever, but her title for me had changed. Goosebumps prickled my skin. Ms. Sterling, what can I do for you? I've drafted the company bylaws and a shareholder agreement. Do you have time now? We can sign it in person. That fast? I was stunned. Less than a day, and she already had the agreement ready. True workaholic. Efficiency is the key to success, Ava stated calmly. I've sent you the address. I looked at the address on my phone, a high-end law firm. Well, looks like there was no escaping it. I changed clothes and, with a heavy heart, headed out. In a law firm's conference room, I saw Ava again. Today, she wore a black power suit, her hair meticulously pulled back into a bun, looking even more formidable than yesterday. She pushed a thick stack of documents toward me. "Take a look. If there are no issues, please sign." I picked up the documents, pretending to flip through them. The shareholder allocation was simple. I held 51% as the founder and primary investor. Ava held 49% for her technical expertise and as CEO. The company name was boldly printed, Olympus Royal Agricultural Technology, Inc. My eyelid twitched. She actually registered an agricultural tech company for me. "Well, any problems?" Ava asked. "And no problems. What problems could I have? I was hoping this company would go bankrupt tomorrow. Then sign it. Under the witness of the lawyers, my hand trembled as I signed my name. From this moment on, I, Ethan Stone, was officially the chairman of an agricultural technology company. And my CEO was the multi-billion-dollar business queen. This had to be the biggest joke in the world. After signing, Ava stood up. "All right, Mr. Stone, as CEO, I'll now brief you on the upcoming work plan." She took a tablet from her assistant and pulled up a presentation. "Based on my preliminary planning," she began, "the Royal Pig Club project will be divided into 3 phases. Phase 1, we will establish a modern breeding base in the West Side Flats plot, integrating ecological farming, scientific research, and leisure tourism. This is the preliminary design draft for the base." She swiped the screen, and a sleek 3D rendering appeared before me. That was no pig farm. It was a high-tech futuristic estate. It featured intelligent, climate-controlled pigsties, fully automated feeding and cleaning systems, an independent veterinary research center, and even a piglet theme park, open to the public. I stared dumbfounded. "Lady, we're raising pigs, not building a space station. Did it have to be this exaggerated?" Phase 2. We will establish our own feed processing plant and deep processing production lines for meat products, creating a complete farm-to-table industrial chain. Phase 3. We will launch our high-end pork brand, King Pig, both online and offline, focusing on an organic, healthy, and luxury brand concept, targeting the global elite as our clientele. Ava spoke eloquently, her points clear, logical, and meticulously organized. If I didn't know she was just playing along with my act, I would almost believe she was serious about making this pig farming venture a huge success. "Mr. Stone, what do you think of my plan?" she asked, looking at me after she finished. What could I say? That she was burning money? That she was being ridiculous? No, I had to play along and be even more outlandish than her, make her think I was truly insane. I cleared my throat, putting on a dissatisfied air. Ms. Sterling, your plan is far too conservative. Ava raised an eyebrow. Oh, does Mr. Stone have a better suggestion? Our pigs are royal pigs, kings among pigs, I declared, standing up and letting my imagination run wild. They must eat organic vegetables air-freighted in. They must drink mineral water from the Alps. They must listen to Mozart's classical music. We also need to assign a dedicated nutritionist and a psychological counselor to each pig, give them regular spas and massages to ensure their physical and mental well-being. Our pigsties must be designed by world-renowned architects, with perfect climate control, warm in winter and cool in summer, like spring all year round. The pigsties will have soft carpets and famous artworks, so they can be exposed to art from a young age. The more I spoke, the more excited I became, as if I could already see my pig kingdom. In the conference room, everyone looked at me as if I were insane. Even the two solemn lawyers were twitching at the corners of their mouths. Only Ava listened quietly, her face devoid of expression. When I finished my throat dry and sat down, she slowly spoke. Excellent ideas. I nearly spat out my water. You think this is good? Mr. Stone's concepts truly inject soul into our brand, Ava said, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. The essence of luxury is selling stories and concepts. We need clients to believe they're not just eating pork, but a piece of art. I'll have the team revise the plan immediately based on your instructions. And the budget. We'll add another $500 million. Me? I was completely speechless. This woman was truly crazy. To play along with my act, she was actually willing to pour hundreds of millions into this game. What was her angle? Could it be? She really fell for me. The thought flashed through my mind, startling me. Impossible, absolutely impossible. She was the Ice Queen CEO. How could she be interested in a rich jerk like me? It had to be my imagination. After the meeting, I walked out of the law firm like a zombie. Ava followed me. Mr. Stone, what's your next plan? I'm going home to sleep, I said weakly. Perfect. I also need to conduct an on-site inspection of the West Side Flats. I could drop you off. Without giving me a chance to refuse, she opened the door to her Bentley. I had no choice but to get in. The atmosphere in the car was a little awkward. I stared out at the rapidly receding streetlights, mentally calculating how to make this woman give up. Got it. I remembered that in the original novel, Jax Thorne and Ava's relationship deepened during a business gala. Ava was drugged by a rival company CEO. Jax appeared just in time to save her, and then something indescribable happened between them in a hotel room. Although Jax ultimately stopped himself at the last moment with immense willpower, their relationship progressed by leaps and bounds. That gala was apparently in 3 days, and the rival CEO who drugged her, Victor Hayes, was a notorious pervert. If I could make something happen between Ava and Victor, no, that's too devious. While I wanted to get rid of her, I couldn't use such underhanded tactics. Then, what if I could prevent the incident from happening? As long as Jax didn't get his hero saves damsel moment, his and Ava's relationship wouldn't deepen. Maybe, in frustration, Ava would shift her focus back to her Dragon King and leave me alone. Yes, that's the plan. With my decision made, my mood lightened slightly. What are you thinking about? Ava's voice suddenly broke my thoughts. Nothing. I snapped back to reality. Just thinking if our first batch of pigs should be Berkshire pigs from England or Kagoshima black pigs from Japan. Ava glanced at me, her gaze complex. She probably thought my thought processes were beyond her comprehension. She didn't know I wasn't thinking about pigs at all, but how to create an opportunity for her and her destined hero. I was such a selfless, good person. The car soon arrived at my apartment building. Mr. Stone, there's a business gala in 3 days. Many investors from the agricultural sector will be attending. I managed to get you an invitation. Before I got out, Ava handed me a gilded invitation card. You can use it to promote our Royal Pig Club. I took the invitation, my heart soaring. Speak of the devil. Wasn't this the exact gala where Victor Hayes was planning his move? Great, I'll definitely be there, I readily agreed. Watching my retreating back, Ava sat in the car, not starting the engine for a long time. Her assistant couldn't help but ask, Ms. Sterling, Do you really believe he wants to raise pigs? Music spas. It's so absurd. Ava shook her head, a faint, unnoticeable smile playing on her lips. You don't understand. Of course, she didn't believe Ethan wanted to raise pigs. Everything Ethan said to her was a test. He used the most absurd words to test her limits, to test her resolve. And she, in turn, responded to his tests with the most unwavering actions. The more he acted like a madman, the more it proved how vast and astonishing his true plan was. He was afraid. He was disguising himself. He was using layers of absurdity to conceal his real objective, one that could potentially overturn Olympus City's entire business landscape. As for the West Side Flats land, a sharp glint flashed in Ava's eyes. Just yesterday, she had used all her resources and finally uncovered a top-secret piece of information. In 3 days, the city government would hold a press conference to officially announce the launch of the Westside High-Tech Industrial Park project. This news was so confidential that, apart from a few key high-level officials, fewer than 5 people in all of Olympus City knew about it. Yet Ethan Stone had made his move a full week in advance, with pinpoint accuracy. He wasn't gambling. He was 100% certain. Who was this man? What hidden power lay behind him? Ava felt like she was solving the most complex puzzle, dangerous, yet fatally attractive. Drive, she said, regaining her composure, her voice returning to its cool tone. Find out if Victor Hayes of Hayes Group will be attending that gala in 3 days. She had a premonition. That gala would not be peaceful. And Ethan Stone, he definitely wasn't going to that gala to promote his pig farm. He had another purpose. 3 days later, at the Celestial Grand Hotel, I stood in a corner of the ballroom, nursing a glass of champagne, bored out of my mind, wearing a borrowed custom suit. Ava, as the business queen, was immediately swarmed upon entering, barely sparing a glance my way. This suited me perfectly. My mission wasn't to network. It was to play matchmaker. While pretending to admire the art on the walls, I subtly scanned the crowd. Soon I spotted my 2 targets. Target 1, the male lead, Jax Thorne, the Dragon King. He wasn't in a security uniform today, but a waiter's outfit, weaving through the crowd with a tray. His eyes were cold, like a lone wolf lurking in the shadows, completely out of place with the festive atmosphere. Target 2, the villain, Victor Hayes, CEO of Hayes Group, a middle-aged, greasy man with a receding hairline and a beer belly. He stood with a drink in hand, his beady eyes leering at Ava from a distance, practically drooling. Excellent. All the actors were in place. Now I just waited for the plot to unfold. According to the original, Victor would soon find an opportunity to approach Ava and slip a drug into her drink. After she drank it, she'd feel hot and dizzy. Just as Victor was about to escort her to an upstairs room, Jax would descend from the heavens, kick Victor away, then sweep Ava into his arms and rush into the prearranged penthouse suite. All I had to do was ensure everything went smoothly. I checked the time. It was almost time. Sure enough, Victor adjusted his tie, drink in hand, and approached Ava with a wide, greasy smile. Ms. Sterling, I've heard so much about you. A pleasure to finally meet you. Ava turned, saw him, and her brows subtly knitted together. But out of politeness, she raised her glass in acknowledgement. Mr. Hayes, hello. The two began to exchange pleasantries. I tensely watched their glasses. Here it came. I saw Victor, as Ava turned to speak with someone else, swiftly pull a small packet from his pocket and tip its white contents into Ava's champagne glass. His movements were discreet. No one around seemed to notice. But everything was clear to my eyes, and also to the eyes of the waiter pretending to wipe glasses nearby. Jax Thorne. I saw Jax's eyes turn instantly cold, the veins bulging on the hand gripping a glass. Good. He saw it. Now, as long as Ava drank that wine, everything would be set. Victor handed the glass back to Ava, smiling like a Buddha. Ms. Sterling, I'd like to propose a toast. To our future pleasant cooperation. Ava took the glass, about to bring it to her lips. I held my breath. Drink it. Drink it now. Drink it, and your Dragon King will come save you. However, just as the glass was about to touch her lips, Ava's movement suddenly paused. She glanced down at the red wine in the glass, a subtle glint of caution in her eyes. Then, she looked up, her gaze sweeping across the crowd. finally landing precisely on me. My heart skipped a beat. Why was she looking at me? Did she realize I was watching her? Ava looked at me, and a meaningful smile suddenly curved her lips. Then she did something that caught everyone by surprise. She walked straight toward me, holding the drugged drink. I was stunned. What was she doing? Victor was also stunned, frozen in place, unsure what was happening. Jax was also stunned, his rush to intervene abruptly halted. Under the gaze of every guest, Ava stopped in front of me. Mr. Stone, it's dull standing alone here. Her voice was soft but loud enough for everyone around to hear. Come, let me share a drink with you. With that, she extended the glass in her hand toward me. I stared at the drink, feeling my scalp crawl. What kind of plot twist was this? This wasn't how the script went. Why are you coming to me? You should drink it and wait for your hero to save you. What? Mr. Stone, are you refusing? Ava raised an eyebrow, seeing me hesitate. What could I do? I couldn't exactly tell everyone that the drink was spiked, could I? That would be confessing that I'd been spying on her. With a forced smile that was uglier than a grimace, I took the glass. How could I? I stammered. It's my honor to drink with Ms. Sterling. Then drink up, Ava said, picking up a fresh glass from a passing waiter's tray and gesturing with it. I looked at the glass in my hand, feeling it weigh a ton. Drink it or not? If I drank it, I'd be affected. Then would Jax come save me? Or would Victor come to my aid? The imagery was too horrible to contemplate. If I didn't drink it, Ava would definitely get suspicious. She'd think I had something to hide, that I knew the drink was tainted. Then my transmigrator identity might be exposed. Just as I was wrestling with this dilemma, I suddenly glimpsed Jax Thorne in the distance. He was staring intensely at me, his eyes filled with warning and murderous intent. He seemed to be telling me with his eyes, dare to drink that and see what happens. I instantly understood. In his eyes, Victor and I were in cahoots. It was me who instigated Victor to drug Ava, and now I was pretending to be a good guy, hoping to play the hero myself. Now Ava had given the drink to me, effectively calling my bluff. If I didn't dare drink it, it would prove I was guilty. Damn it, what was this nonsense? I just wanted to be a bystander. How did I become a mastermind? No, I absolutely could not drink this. But I couldn't outright refuse either. My mind raced, and an idea struck me instantly. I raised the glass toward Ava, flashing a brilliant smile. Ms. Sterling, wouldn't it be more sincere if we drank this as a toast, arm in arm? With that, under everyone's astonished gazes, I extended my arm and linked it with Ava's. Ava clearly hadn't expected such a move from me. Her body stiffened for a moment, but I didn't give her a chance to react. With our arms linked, I brought my unspiked glass to my lips and simultaneously brought her spiked glass to hers. Come on, Ms. Sterling, I'll drink to that first. I tilted my head back, downing my untainted wine in one gulp. Then, I looked at her, my eyes filled with sincerity and expectation. Now it's your turn. That tainted drink is right at your lips. Will you drink it or not? The ball was back in her court. I admit, my move was risky and definitely suggestive. But I was betting that Ava, under the scrutiny of the crowd, wouldn't be able to back down. Plus, I wanted to see if she knew the drink was tainted. If she knew, she absolutely wouldn't drink it. If she didn't, well, that was just her bad luck. Ava looked at me, her eyes filled with an intensely complex expression. There was shock, annoyance, and a hint of panic she herself hadn't noticed. Of course, she knew the drink was tainted. From the moment Victor approached her, she had been on guard. The reason she offered the drink to me was to test me. She wanted to see my reaction when I knew the drink was problematic. She had anticipated countless possibilities. I might panic, make excuses, or directly expose Victor. But she never imagined I would use a linked arms toast to throw the problem back at her. This move was ruthless. It not only resolved his own crisis, but also put her in an impossible situation. At this moment, all eyes were on the two of us. If she drank, she would be affected. If she didn't drink, it would be a public admission that her relationship with me wasn't intimate enough for such a toast. This would make their alliance awkward again, just as it had started to thaw. More importantly, it would turn her earlier action of approaching me with a drink into a joke. This man, how did he come up with such a solution? Ava's mind was in turmoil, and I, composed, watched her, a faint smile playing on my lips. Come on, let's hurt each other. Just then, a discordant voice rang out. What are you doing? It was Jax. He finally couldn't hold back, lunging forward and slapping our linked hands apart. With too much force, the drink in Ava's hand flew out, arcing a red trajectory through the air, and then, unfailingly, it splattered directly onto Victor Hayes' face, who was watching from nearby. Victor was soaked in red wine, looking utterly disheveled. Before he could even react, Jax's icy gaze swept over him. Get lost. One word, filled with murderous intent. Victor was so startled by that look that he didn't dare utter a sound, scurrying away like a whipped dog. A crisis dramatically averted. I looked at Jax Thorne, internally wanting to give him a standing ovation. Good man, perfectly timed. However, Jax didn't give me a kind look. He grabbed my collar, pulled me aside, and hissed in a voice only we could hear, Ethan Stone, I'm warning you, stay away from her. Try any more stunts like that, and you won't see tomorrow's sunrise. I roll my eyes. That line again. Can't he come up with something fresh? Dude, you've got it all wrong, I said, patting his hand. I'm not with that fatty. I was protecting her. Protecting? Jack sneered. With a linked arms, toast? Do you think I'm an idiot? Believe what you want, I said, too lazy to explain. The crisis was averted, and my goal was achieved. Though the process was a bit convoluted, the outcome was good. Jax and Ava had another hero saves damsel interaction. I had done my part and slipped away, my good deed unseen. I straightened my collar, ready to make my escape. Stop. Ava's voice came from behind me again. I closed my eyes in despair, my back to her. Seriously, lady, what now? I turned around and saw Ava looking at me with an unprecedented, extremely complex expression. You knew all along, didn't you? She asked. Knew what? I played dumb. You knew Victor had put something in the drink. Her tone was certain. My heart jumped. How did she know I knew? You just now. Were you intentionally helping me out? Her voice held a hint of uncertainty. I looked at her, then at Jax Thorne, who was still glaring fiercely nearby. I suddenly felt like I'd messed up. I meant to bring them together, but it seemed I'd made Ava misunderstand something. She didn't seem to think I was a shameless scoundrel. Instead, she thought I was protecting her in a unique way. Seriously, this works? After returning from the gala, I locked myself in my apartment for 2 whole days. I needed to calm down. Events had spiraled completely out of my control. Ava's gaze towards me was becoming increasingly old. She no longer saw me as a cunning schemer to be wary of, but rather as an interesting, intriguing, kindred spirit. This realization terrified me. I didn't want to be her kindred spirit. I just wanted to be an ordinary rich kid, living out my days without a care. What bothered me even more was that the West Side Flats land was going to be announced for development tomorrow. When that happened, the land value would skyrocket, and I would become a multi-billionaire overnight. To others, this was a fantastic stroke of luck. But to me, it was a huge problem, because it would further confirm Ava's suspicions, making her even more convinced that I was a deeply hidden business genius. And then, she would cling to me even tighter. I paced agitatedly around the room, strategizing. Maybe I should sell the land and just run away tonight. No, selling now would mean too low a price. I couldn't stomach that. Besides, Ava definitely had people watching me. The moment I sold the land, she'd know. Then she'd probably concoct some new scenario about me shedding my skin or having other motives. After much thought, I realized I seemed to be in a bind. No matter what I did, through Ava's filter, it would be interpreted as having profound meaning. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. I peered through the peephole, and my heart instantly sank. It was Ava. How did she find my apartment? I pretended not to be home, staying perfectly still. Ethan, open the door. I know you're in there. Ava's voice came through the door, as cool as ever. I sighed and opened the door. Ms. Sterling, what brings you to my humble abode? I said grumpily. Ava ignored my sarcastic tone and walked straight in. She was wearing a cream-colored casual suit today, which softened her usual corporate sharpness with a touch of domesticity. She glanced around my living room, which looked like a pigsty, and her brows furrowed again. You live here. Where else? I flopped onto the sofa, adopting a don't-care attitude. I've been kicked out of my family. Didn't you know, Ms. Sterling? Ava said nothing. She bent down and silently began to pick up the stack of takeout containers scattered on the floor. I was startled. Hey, what are you doing? I sprang off the sofa. You don't need to clean. I'll get to it later. Having a multi-billion-dollar CO clean my apartment felt like a bad omen. Ava ignored me. She put all the trash into a bag and then walked over to me. Ethan, let's talk. Talk about what? Our grand pig farming enterprise. I continued to play the fool. Ava looked at me, a hint of exasperation in her eyes. Stop pretending, she said. I know you didn't buy that West Side Flats land to raise pigs. My heart clenched, but my face remained impassive. Oh, then what was it for? To wait for it to appreciate, Ava stated word by word. My pupils contracted. She really did know. Tomorrow morning at 10, the city government will hold a press conference to announce the launch of the West Side High-Tech Park project. At that time, the land you hold will be worth at least 50 times more. Ava calmly laid out this fact, as if discussing a trivial matter. I, however, was completely speechless. Not only did she know what I was going to do, she even knew the exact timing. This woman's power was even more terrifying than I'd imagined. How did you know? I couldn't help but ask. That's not important. Ava shook her head. What's important, Ethan, is who are you? She stared intently at me, as if trying to peer into my soul. Why would you know this top-secret information, which even I had to exert considerable effort to uncover? Your meticulous planning, your departure from the Stone family, your massive investment in worthless land. Everything you've done isn't something an ordinary spoiled heir could accomplish. Who is behind you? I fell silent. How was I supposed to answer? Tell her I was a soul from another world, and I'd read the script? Would she believe me? She'd just think I was truly insane. Seeing my silence, Ava seemed to misunderstand something. Her gaze suddenly held a hint of pity. Do you have some unspoken hardship? She asked tentatively. Are you doing all this because someone is forcing you? Me? Lady, how does your brain work? Now you're cooking up a tragic backstory. You deliberately act reckless and absurd to throw people off, don't you? Ava continued her analysis. You must be living a very exhausting life, aren't you? I opened my mouth, unable to say anything. Me exhausted? I've been eating and sleeping these past few days. I wasn't exhausted at all. Ethan, you don't have to pretend anymore. Ava's eyes suddenly became incredibly firm. From now on, I'll help you. Help me with what? I asked, bewildered. Help you fight against whoever is behind you. Help you reclaim everything that belongs to you. Ava stated decisively. From the moment we signed that agreement, we're on the same team. Your enemies are my enemies. I felt like my brain couldn't keep up. Why had things escalated like this? I just wanted to break off an engagement and slack off. How did I inexplicably gain an ally who wanted to help me fight against a behind-the-scenes mastermind? And this ally was the very person I most wanted to avoid. Ms. Sterling, you really have it all wrong. I tried one last-ditch effort. There's no one behind me. I just got lucky, and it was a good guess. Luck. Ava smiled, a knowing smile that said, I understand you. Once is luck, twice is luck. What about the gala? Was that luck too? You clearly knew Victor Hayes was up to something, yet you didn't expose him directly. Instead, you used a method that was almost humiliating, forcing him to reveal his own hand, while also preserving my dignity. Is that flawless cunning also luck? I completely gave up on explaining. Fina, believe whatever you want. I was tired. Just let it all burn. Think whatever you want. I slumped back onto the sofa, my voice listless. Seeing my what's the point attitude, the pity in Ava's eyes deepened. She thought I'd been exposed and given up my pretense. Don't worry, I won't ask about your secrets, she said softly. I just want you to remember, you're not fighting alone. With that, she took a black card from her bag and placed it on the table. This is my private contact number, available 24/7. From now on, if anything happens, contact me directly. No need to go through my assistant. Also, don't go anywhere for the next few days. Just stay home. I'm worried that you've stirred up trouble, and people might react impulsively, putting you at risk. I'll have people protect you downstairs 24 hours a day. I stared at the pure black card on the table, with only a number printed on it, feeling a massive headache coming on. Great. Not only was I entangled, I was also under surveillance. My slacker life was over. After seeing off Ava, that walking plague, I slumped to the floor, feeling utterly dejected. Meanwhile, in another corner of Olympus City, Jax Thorne, the Dragon King, had just received the latest intelligence about me. What did you say? Ethan Stone bought the West Side Flats land, and it's being announced for development tomorrow. Jax listened to his subordinate's report, his face grim. He himself had been eyeing that land. He'd used his connections from his mercenary days abroad to get that insider tip. He had planned to borrow money to acquire that land, using it as capital for his resurgence. But he never imagined that Ethan Stone, that spoiled brat he despised the most, had beaten him to it. How did he get that information? Jax was baffled. We don't know, boss. We checked. He has no discernible source. It's like he just knew out of nowhere. Impossible. Jax slammed his fist on the table. There's no such thing as success without reason in this world. He must have someone backing him. Boss, one more thing. The subordinate hesitated. Ms. Sterling went to Ethan Stone's apartment this afternoon and stayed for nearly an hour. And she's deployed her most elite bodyguards downstairs at his apartment building for 24-hour protection. What? Jax's eyes instantly turned bloodshot. Ava Sterling, the woman he swore to protect for life, was secretly meeting Ethan Stone and even sent people to protect him. The flames of jealousy raged in his chest. Ethan Stone, he gritted his teeth, clenching his fists until his knuckles cracked. I don't care who's behind you or what tricks you're playing. Ava Sterling is my woman. No one will take her from me. Keep a close eye on Ethan Stone. I want to know his every move. A storm, centered around me and stirred up by two chosen ones, was quietly brewing. And I, the eye of the storm, was completely oblivious. I was still mourning my soon-to-be-lost carefree life. The next morning at 10, the Olympus City government press conference began promptly. I sat in front of the TV, impassively watching the mayor passionately announce the official launch of the Westside High-Tech Industrial Park project. The images on TV and the news online instantly exploded across Olympus City's business world. My phone, from 10:01 a.m. onwards, didn't stop ringing. The first call was from Mr. Henderson. His voice was trembling with excitement. Young master, you're a genius. How did you know the West Side Flats land was going to be developed? Your father. You want me to ask you when you're coming home? Home, I scoffed. They certainly didn't have this attitude when they kicked me out. Not coming back, I said flatly. I have nothing to do with the Stone family anymore. With that, I hung up. Next came calls from various friends and relatives, some I knew, some I didn't, who used to ignore me, but were now overflowing with enthusiasm. Without exception, they were all trying to extract information or wanted a piece of the pie. I ignored them all, switching my phone to airplane mode. The world finally fell silent. I watched the so-called experts on TV spouting theories about the future value of the West Side Flats land, feeling utterly unimpressed. A billionaire. It had happened so easily, but I couldn't feel happy because I knew this was just the beginning of my troubles. Sure enough, not long after, the doorbell rang again. I didn't even need to look to know who it was. Aside from Ava, no one dared to knock on my door while I was protected. I opened the door, and Ava stood there, holding two exquisite food containers. Congratulations, Mr. Stone, she smiled at me. A billionaire overnight. How does it feel? It doesn't, I said, letting her in, my tone flat. It's all just superficial fame. My unfazed by fortune or favor demeanor was, to Ava, clearly another display of my profound and mysterious nature. The admiration in her eyes intensified. I had the chef from that Michelin restaurant prepare a few dishes to celebrate, she said, setting the food containers on the dining table and arranging the dishes one by one. Lobster bisque, Wagyu steak, truffle pasta, all the things I used to love. But now, looking at them, I had no appetite whatsoever. Ms. Sterling, just say what's on your mind, I said, sitting opposite her. You didn't just come here to bring me food, did you? Of course not, Ava said, serving me a bowl of soup. I'm here to talk business. Business? Yes, Ava nodded. Now that we have the land and the money, shouldn't our Royal Pig Club officially launch? Me? Lady, are you still thinking about your pig farm? That land is now worth hundreds of millions. You're going to build a pig farm on it. Are you so rich you don't know what to do with your money? Ms. Sterling, I tried to persuade her. This land is so valuable now. Wouldn't it be better if we just sold it, split the money, and walked away? Why do we have to insist on this pig farming thing? Sell it. Ava shook her head, looking at me as if I were a naive child. Ethan, your vision shouldn't be so narrow. A single piece of land, even if it rises to 100 billion, is just a one-time transaction. But if we can use this land to build a revolutionary business empire, its value will be limitless. And the business empire you're talking about is pig farming. My mouth twitched. Why not? Ava countered. Everyone assumes you'll sell the land for a high price or build real estate on it. But you won't. You're doing the opposite, building the world's most luxurious pig farm in a prime, high-tech district. This contrast, in itself, is the best marketing. When everyone thinks you're crazy, you'll use this crazy project to earn 10, even 100 times more profit than selling the land. By then, who in the business world would dare to underestimate you? She paused, looking at me, and said, word by word, haven't you always wanted to prove yourself to your father, to everyone? This is the perfect opportunity. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I found that I was utterly unable to refute her, because in her logic, everything was self-consistent. The more I wanted to slack off, the more she thought I was strategizing. The more I wanted to give up, the more she thought I was playing hard to get. I felt like a monkey in a cage. No matter how much I jumped around, I couldn't escape the trainer's grasp. Fine, I gave up resisting, stating lifelessly, you call the shots. Raise them however you want. Seeing that I had come to my senses, Ava smiled with satisfaction. I knew we were cut from the same cloth, she said. My team has already finalized the plan, and the funds are in place. Tomorrow, we'll hold a project launch press conference to formally announce our plans to the outside world. That fast. Speed is crucial. Ava stood up. Mr. Stone, get ready to face the world's astonished gazes. With that, she turned and left, leaving me alone, facing a table full of gourmet food, on the verge of tears. The next day, the Olympus Royal Agricultural Technology Inc. press conference was held at the most luxurious hotel in Olympus City. Every media outlet in the city was there. Everyone wanted to know how this newly minted billionaire, Olympus City's most mysterious stock market wizard, would handle his golden treasure trove of land. Ava and I sat side by side on the main stage. Under the spotlight, my palms were sweating from nerves. Ava, however, looked perfectly calm and collected. She picked up the microphone and, with her cool yet powerful voice, announced our decision. We have decided to invest $10 billion in the West Side Flats land to create the world's first 7-star ecological pig farm, the Royal Pig Club. Silence descended upon the hall. All the reporters thought they had misheard. After a full 10 seconds of stunned silence, the entire venue erupted in chaos. What? Pig farming? Did I hear that right? Spending $10 billion to build pigsties on land worth hundreds of millions? Are they insane? What kind of publicity stunt is this? It's too outrageous. Flashbulbs popped like crazy, and microphones were shoved in our faces. Mr. Stone, was this your decision? Are you serious? Ms. Sterling, as a business elite, why would you agree to such an absurd plan? Faced with the barrage of questions from reporters, I was too nervous to utter a single word. Ava, meanwhile, slowly stood up. She scanned the room, her powerful presence instantly quieting the noisy hall. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, I know you have many questions, but I want to tell you all that in this world, there are no absurd plans, only impoverished imaginations. We are not raising ordinary pigs. We are creating a brand new luxury lifestyle. We firmly believe that the Royal Pig Club will become the most dazzling new landmark in Olympus City and even the entire world. Her words were powerful and resonant. Though no one understood, everyone was awed by her confidence and aura. After the press conference, all of Olympus City went wild. The news of billionaire sinks $10 billion into pigsty construction made headlines across all media. Ethan Stone, became the city's biggest joke and its resident madman. My cheapskate father, Robert Stone, reportedly smashed his favorite set of antique teaware in his office, furious. As for me, I holed up in my apartment, reading the online comments calling me a prodigal son and a lunatic, yet feeling a profound sense of relief. Excellent. Now, everyone thought I was an idiot. My deeply hidden genius persona had finally collapsed. Ava Sterling, you must be disappointed in me now, right? You must see that I'm just a hopeless cause? However, I was still too naive. That evening, I received a call from Ava. Ethan, you did very well today. Her voice even held a hint of amusement. Well? How was it well? I was bewildered. I'm a laughingstock of the city. That's exactly what I wanted, Ava said. A tree that stands out will be felled by the wind. Your previous brilliance attracted too much caution. Now that everyone thinks you're crazy, they won't perceive you as a genuine threat. You can quietly execute your plan amidst everyone's underestimation. This tactic of self-slander to avoid calamity is truly brilliant. Listening to her earnest analysis, I felt like I was suffocating. Please, I beg you, lady. I truly had no plan. I really just wanted to be a joke. The Royal Pig Club project officially broke ground amidst the city's ridicule. Ava, true to her reputation as a business queen, had incredible execution power. The day after the press conference, various construction teams, design teams, and equipment suppliers all moved into the West Side Flat site. Suddenly, the construction site was a hive of activity, heavy machinery moving back and forth. You'd think they were building a space launch center. As for me, the chairman, I completely became a hands-off boss. My daily routine involved being picked up by Ava's driver, driven to the site, putting on a hard hat, pretending to inspect things, then drinking tea and reading newspapers in her office until she finished work and drove me back. It was a rather leisurely life. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that Ava's gaze towards me was growing more intense. Sometimes, I'd be reading the newspaper, look up, and meet her eyes, those eyes that seemed to see everything, and it would send a jolt through me. She seemed to treat me like a rare animal that needed careful tending, afraid I'd run off. One day, I was dozing in the office when Ava's assistant knocked and entered. Mr. Stomiz, Sterling would like you to join her. Some important guests have arrived. I yawned and followed the assistant to the reception room. Pushing open the door, I saw Ava chatting animatedly with a blonde, blue-eyed foreigner. Next to the foreigner sat someone I hadn't expected. Jax Thorne. He wasn't in a waiter's or security uniform today, but a sharp suit, his hair meticulously combed. He sat there, silent, but the fierce aura around him was impossible to hide. What was he doing here? Seeing me enter, Jax's eyes instantly chilled, like two knives piercing straight through me. Ava stood up and introduced me. Ethan, this is Mr. Pierre Dubois, a top French architect. He's personally designing our pigsties. Then, she gestured to Jax. And this is Mr. Jax Thorne, my newly hired security consultant. He'll be responsible for all security at our construction site from now on. A million curse words ran through my head. Well, look at that. You just hired the male lead to be the head of security. Are you trying to make my life even more exciting? Ava, what exactly are you planning? What I didn't know was that Ava had her own ulterior motives for doing this. In her eyes, Jax Thorne was skilled and mysterious, likely sent by the opposition to monitor me. Rather than letting him lurk in the shadows, it was better to bring him into the open, right under her nose. This way, she could utilize his abilities to protect the construction site, and me, while also keeping tabs on his movements. Killing two birds with one stone. Poor Dragon King. He was unwittingly being used as a free henchman and bodyguard. And he, himself, agreed to it, wanting to protect Ava from close range and monitor me, his love rival. Thus, the three of us ended up together in a profoundly bizarre arrangement. Me, the nominal chairman, essentially a mascot. Ava, the nominal CEO, the actual power holder. Jax, the nominal security consultant, actually, the jilted male lead. This relationship was a mess. Mr. Dubois was clearly passionate about our royal pigsty, holding up his designs and talking endlessly about his architectural concepts. Postmodern deconstructionism, the perfect blend of light and space. I listened, completely lost, feeling drowsy. Ava, however, listened intently, occasionally exchanging a few sentences with him in fluent French. Only Jax sat there like an ice sculpture, his eyes continuously darting between Ava and me, his hostility undisguised. His gaze made me incredibly uncomfortable. Dude, I'm really not interested in your wife. Finally, Mr. Du Bois finished his presentation, and we saw off the enthusiastic architect, leaving just the three of us in the reception room. The atmosphere instantly dropped to freezing. Ethan, it was Jax who spoke first. What exactly are you playing at? He glared at me. Spending $10 billion to build pigsties? Do you take everyone for fools? I feel like it. What's it to you? I roll my eyes. With Ava here, I wasn't afraid of him making a move. You, Jack stood up, enraged. Mr. Thorne, Ava's cool voice cut in. Please mind your position. Mr. Stone is my boss, and your boss. I don't wish to hear you speak to him in that tone again. Jax's face instantly went pale. He looked at Ava in disbelief. She was actually reprimanding him publicly. For Ethan Stone, the fury in his eyes almost burst forth. But he ultimately restrained himself. He took a deep breath, sat back down, but his eyes became even colder. Ava, you wait. One day, I will make you see who the man truly worthy of your alliance is. And what is so great about this pretty boy Ethan Stone anyway? Watching their simmering love triangle, I felt like the most superfluous third wheel. If there's nothing else, I'll head back, I said, standing up, ready to escape. Wait, Ava called out. She pulled a file folder from a drawer and handed it to me. What's this? I took it. It felt somewhat heavy. Your father's company has run into some trouble recently, Ava said calmly. One of their major overseas clients unilaterally tore up a contract, causing issues with their cash flow. This document contains a plan I drafted for you to acquire Stone Enterprises. I opened the file folder, staring at the incredibly detailed acquisition plan, and my mind went blank. Acquire Stone Enterprises? My dad's company. Why would you do this? I looked at her shocked. Didn't you want to prove yourself? Ava said, as if it were the most obvious thing. Appearing as a savior during your father's most vulnerable moment, taking all his life's work into your hands. There's no more thorough revenge than that. This, you could say, is a small gift from me to you. She said it so casually, as if it were an insignificant matter. But my hands and feet felt cold. This woman was terrifying. Her mind was truly unfathomable. She not only wanted to help me build a business, but also help me get revenge. When did I ever say I wanted revenge on my dad? I just wanted to distance myself from him. Beside us, Jax Thorne's pupils also contracted sharply when he heard the words acquire Stone Enterprises. He finally understood what a massive game Ethan Stone and Ava Sterling were playing. They weren't raising pigs at all. The pig farm was just a cover, a smokescreen to numb everyone, to attract all attention. Their true goal was to secretly maneuver and swallow up the entire Stone Enterprises in one swift move. What ruthless tactics! Jax looked at me, and for the first time, besides hostility, a hint of wariness entered his eyes. He realized he had consistently underestimated this so-called spoiled brat. To devise such an astounding plan and have Ava Sterling willingly pave the way for him. This Ethan Stone was definitely no simple character. I watched the two of them, each lost in their own brilliant overthinking, feeling like I was losing my mind. I clutched the scorching acquisition plan, feeling like it was a ticking time bomb. No, I can't do this. I pushed the document back. That's my dad's company. Precisely because it's your dad's company, it should be taken over by you, Avis said, unmoving. Do you want to watch it fall into someone else's hands or go bankrupt? Ethan, I know you resent him. But now is the best time to turn that resentment into motivation for your progress. I resent him. I resent him my foot. He was my biological father. Though he had a temper, he was undoubtedly devoted to me, his only son. How could I possibly acquire his company? I looked at Ava's understand you eyes, feeling completely unable to argue. I finally understood. In this woman's world, there was no family affection, only interests and calculations. She saw me as just like her. Ava, listen to me. I took a deep breath, trying to make her understand. No need to say anything more. Ava cut me off. I've left the plan here. Think it over carefully. I believe you'll make the wisest choice. With that, she turned and left the reception room, leaving only Jax and me staring at each other. The atmosphere was excruciatingly awkward. Ultimately, I was the first to yield. I grabbed the document and made a hasty retreat. Watching my flustered retreat, Jax Thorne's eyes grew even more profound. Ethan Stone, what kind of person are you, really? I took the acquisition plan back to my apartment and didn't sleep a wink all night. I couldn't actually acquire my dad's company. Even though he'd kicked me out, it was just words spoken in anger. Blood was thicker than water. I couldn't do something so treacherous. But how was I supposed to explain this to Ava? Tell her I was actually a filial son? She definitely wouldn't believe it. In her eyes, I was a ruthless schemer, an anti-hero who would stop at nothing for revenge. I paced anxiously around the room all night, and finally, I came up with a win-win solution. The next day, I actively sought out Ava. "I've thought it through," I said, placing the plan on her desk. "I'll acquire Stone Enterprises." A knowing smile, a look that said I knew it, appeared on Ava's face. However, I changed tack. "I have one condition." "Name it." "I don't want to use such opportunistic methods," I said, putting on an arrogant front. "I want to win fairly and squarely. I want to help my dad when he's at his lowest. Then, I'll make him willingly hand over the company to me. What I want isn't his company. It's his acknowledgement." I spoke with such righteousness, I almost moved myself. I had two goals in saying this. First, to buy time. What did willingly hand over mean? That standard was too vague. I could drag it out indefinitely. Second, to improve my image in Ava's eyes. I didn't want to be seen as a cold-blooded, ruthless schemer anymore. After hearing my words, Ava was momentarily stunned. She looked at me, a flicker of unusual brilliance in her eyes. She probably hadn't expected me to make such a request. In her predictions, I should have used the quickest, most ruthless means to directly swallow Stone Enterprises. Yet what I wanted was merely my father's acknowledgement. This man, beneath that cold exterior, he actually harbored such a tender heart. Ava's heart was inexplicably touched. She realized she was seeing another side of Ethan Stone, a side she had never seen before, a flesh and blood side. "All right," she nodded, her voice unconsciously softening a bit. "I support you. What do you need me to do?" "It's simple," I said. "Stone Enterprises' crisis stems from an overseas client called Global Trade tearing up its contract. Can you help me investigate Global Trade? Who are they, and why did they suddenly do this?" "No problem." Ava immediately picked up the phone and began assigning tasks. Her efficiency, as always, was phenomenal. In less than half a day, the results were in. "Found it." Ava handed me a file. "The true controlling entity behind Global Trade is the Hayes Group." Victor Hayes. I was taken aback. The greasy fatty who tried to drug Ava at the gala? Him. A cold glint flashed in Ava's eyes. "He's retaliating. Retaliating for us, making him lose face at the gala." "Not only that," Ava continued, "I also found out that Victor Hayes has recently been secretly contacting some of Stone Enterprises' minor shareholders, seemingly trying to orchestrate a hostile takeover while Stone stock plummets." I understood. This Victor Hayes not only wanted to ruin my dad's company, but also wanted to claim it for himself. What a despicable worm. "What do you want to do?" Ava looked at me. "If you want to play, I'll play to the end." I sneered. While I didn't want to acquire my dad's company, I absolutely wouldn't let it fall into the hands of a scumbag like Victor Hayes. "I need your help with something," I told Ava. "Name it." "Help me arrange a meeting with Victor Hayes." A flicker of worry crossed Ava's eyes. "You're going alone? It's too dangerous." "Don't worry, I'm not going to fight him." I smiled. "I'm going to talk business with him." Seeing my confident demeanor, Ava, though still somewhat worried, eventually nodded. "All right, I'll arrange the time and place. I'll have Jax Thorne waiting outside for backup." I was about to say no, but after thinking about it, I didn't refuse. The more, the merrier, and safer. Though I didn't like Jax, I had to admit his combat prowess was pretty reassuring. The next evening, in a private room at an upscale club, I met Victor Hayes. He still had that greasy look, and upon seeing me, his face registered undisguised triumph and mockery. Well, if it isn't young Mr. Stone? What brings a busy man like you to dine with a small fry like me?" he said sarcastically. "I hear you're quite busy these days. What with your pig farming venture in the West Side Flats?" "Mr. Hayes, your intelligence is impressive," I smiled, sitting opposite him. "My pig farm is opening in a few days. I hope you'll honor us with your presence and sample my royal pork. Haha. Absolutely, absolutely. Victor laughed, almost falling out of his chair. Though I wonder if young Mr. Stone will still be in a mood to entertain me then? I hear your esteemed father's company isn't doing so well lately. He was getting straight to the point. Mr. Hayes, let's be straightforward. I dropped my smile looking at him. The global trade issue, that was your doing, wasn't it? So what if it was? Victor leaned back on the sofa, looking defiant. Ethan Stone, let me tell you, this is just the beginning. You and your little hussy of a fiancé dared to make me lose face in front of so many people. I'm going to make you pay. Your father's company, I'm taking it. And that little hussy, Ava Sterling, I'll make her beg beneath me sooner or later. He grew more agitated, the fat on his face jiggling. I listened quietly, saying nothing. I just hit record on my phone, saving our conversation. When he finished, I slowly spoke. Mr. Hayes, do you know what the consequences would be if everything you just said got out? Victor froze for a moment, then scoffed dismissively. Got out? Who would believe it? Do you have proof? Now I do. I shook my phone, then pressed play. Victor Hayes's lewd and despicable voice clearly echoed in the private room. His face instantly turned ashen. You tricked me. He pointed at me, his finger trembling. Same to you. I turned off the recording and stood up. Mr. Hayes, I'm giving you two options. First, immediately reinstate the contract with Stone Enterprises and withdraw all your little schemes. What happened today, I'll pretend it never did. Second, I'll hand this recording over to the media and send a copy to the Ethics Committee. I hear, Mr. Hayes, your company's affairs aren't exactly clean. What happens then? I don't need to elaborate, do I? Victor slumped onto the sofa, cold sweat streaming down his face. He knew he was finished. He never expected this good-for-nothing rich brat, in his eyes, to possess such deep cunning. He had been checkmated by a pig farmer. I choose one, he pleaded. Excellent. I nodded in satisfaction. I hope, Mr. Hayes, you'll be a man of your word. With that, I turned and left the private room. Stepping out, Jax Thorne was leaning against the hallway wall. Seeing me emerge, he straightened up. Resolved, he asked. Resolved. He gave me a deep, complex look. He had been outside, unable to hear the conversation clearly, but from Victor Hayes's final reaction, he knew I had won. And I had won cleanly and decisively. This Ethan Stone, he used his brain, not his fists. For the first time, his opinion of me changed slightly. I ignored his gaze and walked straight out of the club. Ava's car was parked at the entrance. I opened the door and got in. How was it? She immediately asked. Done. I handed her my phone. I brought you a gift too. Ava played the recording. When she heard Victor's vulgar words, a cold, murderous glint flashed in her eyes. How do you want to handle him? She asked me. He's all yours. I leaned back in my seat, closing my eyes. I am exhausted. I truly was exhausted. Battling wits with these cunning people was more tiring than manual labor. Ava looked at my weary profile and said nothing more. She simply reached out, gently, and brushed a stray lock of hair from my forehead. Her touch was light and soft. My body stiffened, and I abruptly opened my eyes. Our gazes met. In the dim car, I saw something in her eyes I had never seen before. It wasn't admiration or scrutiny or even pity. It was tenderness. My heart, for no reason, skipped a beat. The Victor Hayes incident was quickly resolved. Under Ava's thunderous methods, Hayes Group plunged into a massive crisis overnight. All sorts of scandals were exposed. Tax authorities and corporate regulators swarmed their offices. Victor Hayes was overwhelmed, bogged down in his own troubles, and naturally had no energy to bother the Stone family anymore. He not only promptly reinstated his contract with Stone Enterprises, but also personally visited my cheapskate father, Robert Stone, to apologize profusely. Stone Enterprises' crisis was thus averted. Robert Stone called me. In that call, for the first time, he didn't yell or scold. He was silent for a long time, then asked in an incredibly complex tone, when are you coming home? I told him I'd come back when I felt like it. I knew that after this incident, my image in his mind had been completely overturned. He no longer saw me as an unaccomplished prodigal son, but as a stranger he couldn't comprehend. And I was content with the peace. With the Stone family business sorted, my life resumed its tranquil rhythm. Every day, I'd clock in at the Royal Pig Club construction site, drink tea, read newspapers, and generally enjoy a leisurely existence. The only thing I found a bit unsettling was Ava's attitude toward me. She was becoming increasingly good to me. She'd remember my preferences, having her assistant bring different afternoon teas daily. She'd notice if my office AC was too cold, then quietly adjust it. She'd even, if I happened to glance at a car ad in the newspaper for too long, have the latest model sports car delivered the next day, parked downstairs from my apartment. It got to the point where I didn't dare look at things too closely anymore. I was afraid if I stared at a utility pole for too long, she'd buy me an entire power company the next day. Her goodness put immense pressure on me. I always felt like she was raising a pet, and I was that carefully caged golden bird. No, a golden pig. Jax Thorne's hostility towards me also grew daily. He probably thought Ava had been completely bewitched by me, this pretty boy. Every day, he'd glare at me with eyes that screamed, "You treacherous minister corrupting the queen," sending shivers down my spine. Several times, I saw him about to charge at me, only to be stopped by Ava's icy stare. I felt like a meat sandwich caught between two high-voltage wires, liable to be charred at any moment. One day, I was dozing in my office, pondering my next takeout order, when Ava pushed the door open. "Ethan, there's something I need to discuss with you." "What is it?" "Our pig farm is officially opening next week," Ava said. "I plan to hold a grand opening ceremony, inviting celebrities and dignitaries from all walks of life." Oh, I nodded. She had mentioned this before. At the ceremony, I hope to have a special guest to endorse us. Who? Chloe Davis. When I heard that name, I nearly fell off my chair. Chloe Davis. That was the country's top pop sensation. Millions of fans. A single tweet could trend nationwide. Invite her to endorse a pig farm. Ms. Sterling, aren't you overestimating our Royal Pig Club a bit? You can get her. I stammered. Through normal channels, definitely not. Ava shook her head. Her schedule is booked through next year, and given her status, she wouldn't accept this kind of commercial event. Then why even bring it up? However, Ava changed tack, a glint of cunning in her eyes. I found out she's run into some trouble recently. What trouble? A film she's starring in had its production halted because the investors' funding dried up. This film is her passion project, her attempt to win international awards, and it's extremely important to her. She's currently looking for new investors. I instantly understood. You want to invest in her film, then have her endorse us? Exactly, Ava nodded. It's a win-win collaboration. But we're pig farmers. Isn't investing in a film a bit off-brand for us? I voiced my doubts. Who says pig farmers can't invest in films? Ava countered. Have you forgotten our brand positioning? Luxury goods, works of art. Film is also a form of art. Our brand and her film are perfectly aligned in tone. This is called cross-industry marketing. Once again, I was awestruck by her business logic. Fine, you're pretty, so whatever you say goes. Then, how do we contact her? I've already arranged a meeting. Ava glanced at her watch. This afternoon at the West City Stables. She enjoys horseback riding. I pointed at myself. I have to go too. Of course, Ava said, as if it were obvious. You're the chairman. Something like this naturally requires your personal presence. I sighed, resigned to my fate. That afternoon, at the West City private stables, I changed into a handsome riding outfit, feeling quite dapper. Ava also wore a form-fitting white riding suit, perfectly accentuating her flawless figure. I couldn't help but sneak a few glances. Near the stables, Jax Thorne was glaring at me with murderous intent. He was with us today, in his capacity as a bodyguard. I quickly averted my gaze, focusing on my nose. Soon, we met the legendary superstar, Chloe Davis. She truly lived up to her reputation. She was even more beautiful in person than on screen, with a noble aura like a proud white swan. However, a hint of worry seemed to cloud her brow. Ava stepped forward, shook her hand, and introduced herself. When Chloe heard we were representatives of the Royal Pig Club, a subtle, unusual expression flickered in her eyes. She probably thought it was quite surreal that two pig farmers were talking to a superstar about film investment. Ms. Davis, why don't we chat while we ride? Ava suggested. All right, Chloe nodded. The three of us, on horseback, slowly rode across the field. Ava got straight to the point, explaining our intentions. When Chloe heard we were willing to fully fund her film, covering the $300 million funding gap, a clear look of surprise and delight flashed in her eyes. But she was experienced in high-stakes situations and quickly regained her composure. Ms. Sterling, Mr. Stone, I appreciate your sincerity, she said slowly. But forgive my frankness. Why would you invest in my film? As far as I know, the agricultural and film industries don't seem to have much in common. Ms. Davis, you're mistaken. I cleared my throat, deciding to take the initiative. I couldn't always let Ava carry the entire conversation. That would make me, the chairman, seem useless. I had to demonstrate my value at a critical moment. I took Ava's cross-industry marketing theory, embellished it, and rephrased it in my own words. We don't raise pigs. We raise dreams. Our pork isn't just food. It's a work of art. And Ms. Davis, your film is also a work of art. Only when art collides with art can the most dazzling sparks be created. We're not investing in your film. We're investing in your artistic pursuit. We hope our brand, alongside your name, can be etched into cinematic history. I spoke with such passion, I almost moved myself. Chloe Davis listened wide-eyed. She probably had never heard anyone so eloquently combine pig farming and art in such a fresh and refined way. She looked at me, her eyes filled with curiosity. And Ava, beside me, looked at me with pride. She seemed to be saying, "See, this is the man I'm interested in." Her gaze made me a little self-conscious. Just then, an accident occurred. Chloe Davis's horse, startled by something, suddenly neighed, reared its front hooves high, and then bolted, galloping madly toward the distant woods. "Ah!" Chloe cried out, gripping the reins tightly, but she couldn't control the frightened horse. The situation was dire. "Quick, save her!" Ava's expression changed, and she immediately spurred her horse to pursue. I quickly followed suit, but our riding skills were clearly no match for the runaway horse. Just as Chloe was about to be carried into the dangerous woods, a dark figure, like lightning, shot past us. It was Jax Thorne. He had mounted a horse some time earlier, and he was riding the largest, most magnificent black stallion. He crouched low on its back, man and horse as one, moving with astonishing speed. The Dragon King lived up to his name. His horsemanship was so good, it was a shame he wasn't in the Olympics. In a few breaths, he caught up to Chloe's horse. He extended his long arm, wrapped it around Chloe's waist, lifted her from her saddle, and gently placed her on his own horse. Then, he reined in, and the black horse let out a long whinny, rearing up before coming to a complete stop. The entire sequence was fluid, breathtakingly cool. From a distance, I watched dumbfounded. What a Dragon King saves the beauty scene. The script, finally, had returned to its proper track. I practically wanted to applaud Jax. However, when I saw Chloe, pale and shaken in Jax's arms, I suddenly felt that something wasn't quite right. Wait a minute. In the original novel, wasn't Jax supposed to save Ava? How did it become Chloe Davis? Did my appearance trigger a butterfly effect, causing the plot to diverge? I looked at Chloe in Jax's arms, then at Ava, who stood nearby, looking shaken. A bold and absurd thought formed in my mind. Could it be Jax's romantic interest was about to change? Chloe Davis was quite shaken after being rescued by Jax Thorne. We quickly took her to the stable's lounge. Ava went to contact Chloe's agent, while I was left to comfort her. Jax, the hero of the hour, stood by the door like a silent guardian, cool and unmoving. The atmosphere in the lounge was a bit awkward. Chloe sat on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket, her face still pale. "Thank you, Mr. Thorne," she said softly to Jax by the door. Jax merely gave a cool nod, saying nothing. Chloe then looked at me, a hint of gratitude and curiosity in her eyes. "Mr. Stone, thank you very much for everything earlier." "You're welcome. It was nothing," I smiled. "Are you all right, Ms. Davis?" "I'm fine, just a little startled." She shook her head, then looked at me, asking, "Mr. Stone, were those words you said earlier serious?" I knew she was referring to my pigs and dreams theory. "Of course, I was serious," I said, putting on a brave face. "You..." She seemed about to say something, but hesitated. "Ms. Davis, please speak your mind." "I just feel..." She organized her thoughts. You're very different from what I imagined. Oh, what did you imagine me to be? I asked with interest. I thought someone who could spend hundreds of millions building a pig farm would be. Rather, a boorish, rich bumpkin. She chose her words carefully. I was amused. It seems my image has given you the wrong impression. No, not a wrong impression. She shook her head, looking into my eyes very seriously. It's a pleasant surprise. I've never met an entrepreneur like you. You have a very special quality about you. Special? Yes, she nodded. A quality of an idealist who lives and breathes for dreams. Me? Lady, do you also misunderstand me? What kind of idealist am I? I'm just a slacker who wants to live comfortably. How come, in your eyes, I become all these weird personas? First, the scheming manipulator and tragic avenger in Ava's eyes. Now, an idealist in yours. I beg you all, can you please see me for who I truly am? I'm just an ordinary, unremarkable person. Just as I was silently lamenting to the heavens, Ava and Chloe's agent walked in together. After the heroics of the rescue, our relationship with Chloe had clearly become much closer. The film investment was quickly settled. We would provide full funding without interfering with any creative aspects. The only condition was that Chloe had to attend the opening ceremony of our Royal Pig Club and serve as our brand's chief art advisor. Chloe readily agreed. Not only did she agree, but she also proposed an additional request. I hope Mr. Jax Thorne can serve as my personal bodyguard until my film wraps. She looked at Jax by the door, her eyes sparkling with an unusual light. At her words, everyone present was stunned. My jaw almost dropped. Wow. She was going to snatch away the male lead just like that. This was progressing way too fast. Ava's expression also became somewhat subtle. She glanced at Jax, then at Chloe, a hint of undetectable displeasure in her eyes. Jax himself frowned deeply. He clearly hadn't expected Chloe to make such a request. Be her bodyguard. He was the mighty Dragon King. He was here to protect Ava. How could he go be a bodyguard for a female celebrity? Apologies, Ms. Davis. He refused without thinking. My duty is to protect Ms. Sterling and Mr. Stone. His implication was clear. My eyes are only on Ava. Chloe's face showed a flicker of disappointment at his refusal, but she didn't give up. Mr. Thorne, I know this request is sudden, she said sincerely, but I truly need your protection. You saw what happened today. I don't know if it was an accident. I'm worried someone might try to harm me again. And I promise you, this won't affect your duty to protect Ms. Sterling and Mr. Stone. My film crew will be shooting here in Olympus City. I can offer you the highest salary in the market and provide you with the best team. Her terms were undeniably enticing. But Jax remained unmoved. His gaze stayed fixed on Ava, as if waiting for her to say something. If Ava asked him to stay, he would reject Chloe without hesitation. However, Ava remained silent. She simply gazed at Jax, her eyes devoid of any emotion, neither trying to keep him nor urging him, as if Jax's departure or stay was utterly insignificant to her. Jax's heart sank bit by bit. He understood. In Ava's heart, he was, after all, just a disposable bodyguard, and that useless Ethan Stone was the one she truly cared about. A huge sense of loss and resentment welled up in his chest. He suddenly felt that his steadfast presence here was a joke. All right, he forced out a single word through gritted teeth. I accept. He agreed to Chloe's request. Rather than staying here and witnessing Ava and Ethan's affectionate display, suffering humiliation, it was better to change his environment, out of sight, out of mind. Upon hearing his answer, Chloe Davis's face broke into a delighted smile, and Ava's body, almost imperceptibly, stiffened. Though it was only for a fleeting moment, I caught it. I looked at the complex interactions between these three and sighed internally. What a twisted fate. And so, the male lead, Jax Thorne, was successfully abducted by the female secondary character, Chloe Davis. He went from being our Royal Pig Club security consultant to being superstar Chloe Davis's personal bodyguard. After seeing off Chloe and Jax, the atmosphere in the car on the way back was rather subdued. Ava stared out the window, silent. I could feel that she wasn't in a good mood. Was she feeling down about Jax's departure? It made sense. After all, they were the original novel's official couple. Even if the plot had diverged, that inexplicable bond must still be there. Thinking this, I too felt a hint of an indescribable sense of loss. If Ava and Jax could truly rekindle their romance, would I finally be completely free? What are you thinking about? Ava's voice suddenly broke the silence. Nothing. I snapped back to reality. Just thinking, now that Jax is gone, what about security for our pig farm? I'll find someone else. Her voice sounded cold. Silence fell in the car again. After a while, she suddenly turned and looked at me. Ethan, if she looked into my eyes, asking very seriously, if today Chloe Davis had invited you, would you have accepted? I froze. Why was she asking that? Me? I pointed at myself, giving a self-deprecating laugh. Who am I to be invited by a superstar to be her bodyguard? I can't even lift heavy things or carry my own weight. I'm not asking about that. She cut me off. I'm asking if you would. Leave. Her eyes held a hint of tension I couldn't quite decipher. I looked at her and suddenly understood something. She wasn't feeling lost over Jax's departure. She was afraid. Afraid that I, too, would leave her like Jax. My heart suddenly clenched. I looked into her beautiful eyes. In them, there was no longer cold calculation or scrutiny nor pity. Instead, it was a kind of almost fragile dependence. I suddenly felt like I couldn't, after all, leave. I opened my mouth, wanted to say something witty to break the heavy atmosphere. But what came out was something else. A statement that even surprised me. No. My voice was soft but firm. I'm not going anywhere. Ava's eyes instantly lit up. That light was more radiant than all the stars outside the window. The Royal Pig Club opening ceremony was an unprecedented success. With the endorsement of superstar Chloe Davis, the attention of all of Olympus City, and indeed the entire country, focused on our off-brand pig farm. On opening day, celebrities gathered, stars twinkled. Everyone who attended was shocked by the luxuriousness of our pig farm. Climate-controlled, smart pigsties, comparable to five-star hotels. Piglets listening to classical music, eating organic feed, even having their own swimming pools and playgrounds. This isn't pig farming. It's raising royalty. I've lived my whole life, and this is the first time I've felt that I live worse than a pig. Guests exclaimed in awe. And our king pig pork officially debuted. Prepared by top chefs, the taste was simply divine. Melt in your mouth, rich but not greasy. Everyone who tasted it raved about it. The opening ceremony was a massive success. The Royal Pig Club and King Pig pork became a nationwide sensation overnight. Our pork was selling at exorbitant prices, but orders kept pouring in. No one had expected that this crazy plan, mocked by the entire city for months, would actually succeed, and in a way no one could comprehend. I, Ethan Stone, transformed from the city's laughingstock into the business world's most sought-after prodigy. Countless investors and partners flocked to our company, and I remained the hands-off boss. Everything was handled by Ava. My daily life was still drinking tea, reading newspapers, and waiting to go home. But the people and events around me were quietly changing. My cheapskate father, Robert Stone, had completely put his mind at ease about me. He no longer urged me to come home, but every now and then, he'd have Mr. Henderson send me some tonics, telling me to take care of myself. Our father-son relationship seemed to have reconciled in a strange way. Jax Thorne, after becoming Chloe Davis's bodyguard, rarely appeared in my sight. I'd occasionally see his cool face in entertainment news, appearing next to Chloe. I heard rumors that something was brewing between them. The Dragon King's romantic interest truly seemed to have shifted. As for Ava and me, our relationship grew increasingly subtle. She no longer saw me as a manipulative schemer to be guarded against, nor as a pet to be carefully tended. She saw me as a partner, someone she could stand side by side with. We discussed the company's future together, planning new business ventures. Although most of the time, she was talking and I was listening, but that feeling was very comfortable. That evening, after a celebration dinner, Ava had a little wine, her cheeks flushed. I drove her home. When we reached her mansion, she didn't get out of the car. Ethan, she looked at me, her eyes hazy. Are you happy? What? Is all of this what you wanted? I fell silent. What did I want? To slack off, to live a carefree life. But now I was a highly acclaimed business prodigy, worth billions. This seemed to stray further and further from my original intention. But was I truly unhappy? I looked at Ava beside me and my reflection in her eyes. I suddenly realized that I wasn't that unhappy at all. In fact, I even enjoyed it. Enjoyed being needed, being relied upon. Enjoyed fighting alongside her, turning one impossibility after another into reality. I don't know. I answered honestly, but I looked at her and smiled, having you around. It feels pretty good. Ava smiled too. Her smile, under the moonlight, was breathtakingly beautiful. She suddenly leaned in and lightly, softly pressed a kiss to my cheek. It was light, soft, carrying a hint of sweet red wine. I froze completely. My mind went blank. What? What does that mean? I stammered. It means... Ava looked at me, her eyes shimmering, sultry, and inviting. Mr. Stone, are you satisfied with your CEO? If you are, I wonder if there's a chance for her to get a promotion and become Mrs. Chairman. I looked at her incredibly beautiful face, so close to mine, listening to her bold and direct confession. I felt my heart pounding, threatening to burst from my chest. The story seemed to have completely veered off course. I, the cannon fodder villain who only wanted to break off an engagement and save my life, not only didn't die, but had counterattacked and become a winner in life. And I was even going to abduct the original female lead and make her my wife. Could this really be happening? I looked into Ava's expectant eyes and suddenly felt that, to hell with the original novel, to hell with the plot. This life now is my life. I reached out, wrapped my arm around her waist, and pulled her closer. Want a promotion? I echoed her earlier tone, leaning in and whispering in her ear, well, that depends on your performance from now on. At the end of the story, I didn't immediately say yes, because I knew this game had only just begun, and I was no longer just a reader trying to escape. I was Ethan Stone, the one and only protagonist of this new world. End.